Thank you for joining me on the broadcast. Now, Russia has accused the United States of convening an emergency UN meeting to legitimize what it called open interference in Iran's internal affairs, warning that Washington's actions risk triggering a wider regional crisis. Addressing the United Nations Security Council, Russia's Ambassador Vassily Nebenzia said Moscow stood firmly with Iran, endorsing Tehran's claim that external forces were seeking to exploit unrest to undermine the Iranian state. Nebenzia said hostile external forces were attempting to overthrow a government they oppose and to dismantle Iran as a sovereign and independent country. He urged the U.S. to abandon self-appointed role as a global arbiter and to halt steps he said were driving escalation. Russia also called on the UN's 193 member states to act to prevent what it warned could become a large-scale conflict. I have Aditya Vadhavan joining me. Aditya, what more can you tell us?
Well, absolutely, Vaishali. As you mentioned, the statements of the Russian ambassador. Definitely, even the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that the United States was fragmenting the very international system which Washington helped to create by undertaking what he said was an illegal operation to topple Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, and by threatening Iran with attack. And recently, Lavrov said, and I quote, we are talking about a gross violation of the international law, that Russia remained committed to its agreement with Venezuela, a Russian ally. And definitely, Vaishali, going forward, all these geopolitical tensions are, completely surrounding, even the US and Russia are embroiled in a broader conflict, and definitely it needs to be seen how things unfold in this scenario.
Aditya, stay on with me. Now, the United Nations Security Council has warned that any military action against Iran could further destabilize an already volatile situation. Speaking on behalf of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Assistant Secretary General Martha Pobby said the UN chief was calling on all actors to avoid steps that could lead to additional loss of life or trigger a broader regional escalation, warning that military strikes would only heighten instability. Aditya, back to you on this.
Well, definitely, UN cautions, strikes on Iran and at this juncture. There have been concerns regarding the same because UN, it is a very, very well-known fact that, UN is, always, gives such statements, that de-escalation is the only way forward ahead. And definitely, if you see, Vaishali, there are concerns regarding as to who actually, the UN has been, whenever such a conflict arises, definitely, if you see, the UN calls for restraint, and definitely, if these things happen, UN says that diplomacy is always an option, rather than a military confrontation, and in that regard, as per the standard operating procedures, the emergency meetings of the United Nations Security Council is called. But however, at this juncture, Trump is now considering the fact, because since the UN headquarters is physically in the United States, the US has the power to override what the UN says. So indeed, at this juncture, it is very likely that US will strike Iran at an appropriate time through an appropriate measure.
All right, Aditya, stay on with me. Now, Iranian dissident and activist Masih Al-Nijad has